Hey everybody, this is Andy. We are reading chapters 15 and 16 today in the book of Genesis. These two chapters could be mistaken for a Jerry Springer episode. There's a man, a woman, and a slave girl. Let's check it out. Here is chapter 15. After these things, the word of the Lord came to Abram in a vision. Do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield. Your reward shall be very great. But Abram said, O Lord God, what will you give me? For I continue childless, and the heir of my house is Eliezer of Damascus. Abram said, You have given me no offspring, and so a slave born in my house is to be my heir. But the word of the Lord came to him, This man shall not be your heir. No one but your very own issue shall be your heir. He brought him outside and said, Look toward heaven and count the stars, if you are able to count them. Then he said to him, So shall your descendants be. And he believed the Lord, and the Lord reckoned him as righteousness. Then he said to him, I am the Lord who brought you from Ur of the Chaldeans to give you this land to possess. But he said, O Lord, how am I to know that I shall possess it? He said to him, Bring me a heifer, 3 years old, a female goat, 3 years old, a ram, 3 years old, a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. He brought them all these and cut them in two, laying each half against each other, but he did not cut the birds in two. And when the birds of prey came down on the carcasses, Abram drove them away. As the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and a deep and terrifying darkness descended upon him. Then the Lord said to Abram, Know this for certain, that your offspring shall be aliens in a land that is not theirs, and shall be slaves there, and they shall be oppressed for 400 years. But I will bring judgment on the nation that they serve, and afterward they shall come out with great possessions. As for yourself, you shall go to your ancestors in peace. You shall be buried in a good old age, and they shall come back here in the 4th generation. For the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet complete. When the sun had gone down and it was dark, a smoking fire pot and a flaming torch passed between these pieces. On that day the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, To your descendants I give this land, from the river of Egypt to the great river, the river Euphrates, the land of the Kenites, the Kenizzites, and the Cadmonites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, and Rephaim, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Girgashites, and the Jebusites. Chapter 16. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, bore him no children. She had an Egyptian slave girl whose name was Hagar. And Sarai said to Abram, You see that the Lord has prevented me from bearing children. Go to my slave girl. It may be that I shall obtain children by her. And Abram listened to the voice of Sarai. So, after Abram had lived 10 years in the land of Canaan, Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, the Egyptian, her slave girl, and gave her to her husband Abram as a wife. He went into Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, she looked with contempt on her mistress. Then Sarai said to Abram, May the wrong done to me be on you. I gave my slave girl to your embrace, and when she saw that she had conceived, she looked on me with contempt. I wonder what Abram's going to do. He seems to have such good judgment. But Abram said to Sarai, Your slave girl is in your power. Do with her as you please. Then Sarai dealt harshly with her, and she ran away from her. Now, dealing harshly could mean a lot of things. But if you're acquainted with the rest of the Bible, that could be code for beating. Beating with a rod. The angel of the Lord found her by a spring of water in the wilderness, the spring on the way to Shur. And he said, Hagar, slave girl of Sarai, where have you come from and where are you going? She said, I am running away from my mistress Sarai. The angel of the Lord said to her, Return to your mistress and submit to her. This isn't going to be the last time that we hear the Lord say something like, slaves, obey your masters. The angel of the Lord also said to her, I will greatly multiply your offspring, that they cannot be counted for multitude. And the angel of the Lord said to her, now you have conceived and shall bear a son. You shall call him Ishmael. The Lord has given heed to your affliction. He shall be a wild ass of a man, with his hand against everyone, everyone's hand against him. That sounds like a curse to me. With his hand against everyone and everyone's hand against him. So named the Lord who spoke to her, you are El Roy. For she said, have I really seen God and remained alive after seeing him? Therefore the well was called Beer Lahai Roy. It lies between Kadesh and Bered. Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram named his son, whom Hagar bore, Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore him Ishmael. You always hear Christians talk about family values, family values, family values. What do family values really mean in the Bible? The master gets to impregnate a slave, the slave gets abused, and God tells the slave to obey her master. I don't want to end this on a down note, because after all, we're not living in biblical times. If you want to subscribe, there's this nifty little image you can click on somewhere up here, and I'd appreciate it. If you upvote the video, that would be pretty cool too. Tomorrow, what are we doing? Are we reading chapters 17 and 18? Yeah, there's some weird stuff with penises going on. See you later, everybody.